order. Just get on my other thing real quick. I guess they're doing this. All right. So if you all just minutes now, just at 5:45, we did have a meeting just prior to this of the audit committee. And we are now going to start our regular public hearing to present the district safety plan to the Board of Education room in the district administration, right?
Yes.
Turn that over to interim superintendent.
Good evening, Board of Education, and to the public and members of the audience. Tonight I'm presenting the district-wide safety plan. Full disclosure, we are past due. I just want everyone to know this should have been done several months ago. Please be assured that our safety plans were always up to date. At no time was anyone in danger. Our building plans were all set. Our district safety plan was set. We had not held this public hearing and hadn't had that time period posted to the public. So we will make sure that does not happen again. The good news is this: at the end of the day, all aspects of education in a school district, it's about relationships. It's all about relationships. And we are fortunate to have an amazing staff, but specifically our SROs and our safety, our security in the buildings. So they know, they're the first line of defense. They know if someone doesn't belong in our district, that, because they've gotten to know our students, they can tell from, 100 feet away, wait a minute, that kid doesn't belong here, and they can go right up and address it. That's really the key to safety. It's those relationships that they build with our students. So again, safety plan. We have a district-wide safety team. We actually had recently had a subcommittee of that team meet, but at least as the interim superintendent now, I am the coordinator responsible for putting this all together. Please understand we have a multi-layered approach to safety. So layer one is just what I talked about, the climate, creating a positive environment for all. Of course, we have DASA. All schools have DASA to maintain an anti-bullying atmosphere for all students. We have a threat assessment team who looks at behaviors and determines, is this, a serious incident possibly, and they kind of will head it off at the pass. Reporting, and again, the communication that we maintain with our students between the SROs, our security, our administration, and our faculty and staff. So the students know if they see something, they say something. We get a lot of information from our students. And finally, just of course, the physical security. We have security vestibules at all of our buildings. For parents and guardians that you come to our buildings, you don't just get right in. I mean, I can barely get in because we do have those security vestibules. We have AEDs in all buildings. Actually, as part of my report a little bit later, we actually just added an additional AED to each of our buildings. We also added Narcan boxes to all buildings, and we'll be adding that also to the Main Street building and transportation very shortly. Some of the names have changed, but really they're the same. They're the same practices that we've done throughout many years. Some of these, the shelter in place, hold in place, these have always been here, but to be uniform over time, working with law enforcement, those have changed. But these are all the different lockdowns and things that we do. Know that there are 12 drills that are mandatory. We get 8 of those done in the fall. So we bang them out pretty quickly. So there's 8 evacuation drills, 4 lockdown drills. And in the past couple of years, the state has really become aware that some of our drills can be they need to be more trauma informed, because if you recall, there was times where we really did, lifelike scenes where, you had, fake blood and you had people lying on the ground dead, can't do that anymore. And I understand. You don't know what you don't know. You don't know that we have kids and staff who've been through a lot of different things. So, that can really stir up a lot of emotion. So no one in New York State does that anymore. We do give advance notification for these drills, so parents are aware that these are happening. We explain what the drill is, why we're doing it, and certainly after drills, we have counselors available, because again, you don't know what a child or staff member has been through, and sometimes even just a very simple simulation can stir up a lot of memories and emotion. So we're cognizant of that. We utilize the National Incident Command System and the Incident Command System, building principals. They'll act as kind of the person in charge, but really, we're so fortunate. I failed to mention, the relationship we have with our village police, town police, state police. Once they're on scene, if need be, they're in charge. They take over the scenes. We have mental health support. And certainly, as I said before, after any incident, we kind of gather, we critique, hey, what can we do different? What can we do better? And also, how can we better support students? How can we improve our trainings? We experienced this during COVID-19. So, the public health, whoever thought that would happen, I'm sure, I don't want to stir this up again, but I remember when it first happened, and it was kind of beginning of March, and people are talking, well, we might need to close the schools for a time being. And, I'm sure I wasn't any different than anyone else, this will be a couple of weeks, at most. And you never could have imagined it. It was something out of, a sci-fi movie. So, everyone was really building the plane as they were flying it, if I recall, but now we're kind of experts at it. So we are aware of the, personal protection, the management, the contact tracing, we've done all that. And as far as remote instruction, we continue to tweak our plan so that, hopefully we'll never have to do that again, but if needed, we're ready and we'll be ready for remote instruction, as far as making sure all students have a device, that they have this equitable access, they have internet access, and we'll certainly continue to provide all IEP and 504 services to students during a time of synchronous and asynchronous instruction. And again, none of us want that to happen, but the fact that we went through it, we kind of have an idea of what to do, what not to do, and the improvements we need to make. Again, clear communication. There's a chain of command. So when an incident happens, the superintendent, whoever that may be, that's the person in charge. You don't want more than one person, and we never do that. We will not do that, kind of giving out information. So the superintendent, working with their public relations people, put out the communication to emergency responders, to families, to local media. I think we do a very good job throughout the school year, through Parent Square, through phone calls, through emails, getting all notifications out to parents. We haven't had to have an early dismissal this year, but you never know. March and April, you never know. That's the time of ice. So as far as icy roads, so an early dismissal certainly is a possibility at any time. And I've been around long enough, and so is speaking for a lot of us. You never know. I've been in places where you had power outages. The weather could be beautiful. We've had floods in different districts. So you really never know. So don't always think it's a snow event. There's other weather things and emergencies that can occur. Even just a power line being knocked down somewhere else could affect the school district. And I believe that wraps up our presentation. Is there any questions or comments about the district-wide plan? I want to thank Dr. Carter, I want to thank the administration, faculty and staff for all their input into making this a reality. And really, it is a team effort. It's not me. It is everyone who works here in the district who really makes, this plan work. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Ms. Monjovi, and thank you for helping keep our kids safe. Same with the Village of Goshen PD, all of our teachers and staff for putting this together and helping out. Can I get a motion to close the public hearing? All right, so we got John and Scott. And we are going to, a motion to open the regular session. Same, John and Scott. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? So with that, we're gonna open the meeting, our regular meeting. Today is, this isn't on here, is what, Monday, March 16th, 2026. Meeting's being broadcasted through YouTube, right? Still, we're not recording?
Yes.
We're still being broadcast through YouTube. It's at the administration building. If we can stand up for the pledge.
To the flag to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Can I get a motion to enter into executive session? I have Shannon and Scott. Be it resolved that the Board of Education will enter into executive session with the intent to reconvene the business portion of the meeting for discussions related to the employment history of a particular person or persons. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? We'll be right back, folks. Can I get a motion to reconvene the regular? All right, I got Shannon and John. Anyone, all four, sorry. I'm not used to saying all that. All right. I'm gonna turn this over to President Loftus for his report.
All right. Thank you very much for helping out tonight, Brett. Much appreciated. Just two things really to report on tonight. Just wanted to say a really big congratulations to our students this winter season. Have been crushing it. There's no other way to say it. Our sports, I'm not gonna be so specific and steal other people's reports and thunder, but man, we've had some great showings from some teams, some individuals, getting all the way to state competitions. Our middle school just put on their musical production. We have our Homer showing up, our artists, our musicians. Really, a lot happened big for the students this winter. Lots of really exciting things. So congratulations to all of you out there listening. Great job, keep it up. That's the type of stuff where it makes us really happy. Second item I would like to just report on tonight is a quick update on our superintendent search. And just a bullet point reminder, we did engage with BOCES to help us lead that search. We created a subcommittee of Billy, Shannon, and John to help with any meeting communications with that team and to help keep moving things forward. So a couple of items that have been completed to date. And if either three of you would like to chime in, if I missed something, please do so. Completed to date, the postings for the position have been closed. Our team at BOCES have gone through all of the applications. They have even conducted some virtual interviews with candidates that they were not familiar with but felt were qualified. And they had continued their communication with our subcommittee back and forth to keep them informed of the process and how it's going. In our forthcoming steps, they will be working on putting together a stakeholder committee. These stakeholder committees will be part of the interview process. So candidates will be identified and interviewed. There'll be an interview with the stakeholder committees comprised of representatives from the Goshen School District community. And there'll also be interviews with the central office administration team. Following the completion of the candidate reviews, then the full board will be presented with the high-level candidates for their feedback following the board interviews. Everything is on task right now to meet our goal of having a selection to start for July 1st. So everything is reported to be on track. I know that in between these meetings, there is quite a bit of communication back and forth with our subcommittee. And just those are the bullet points of where we're headed, where we're going. Miss anything?
No,
All right, perfect, great, thank you. And that's all I have. Thank you, Brett.
All right, thank you, Tom. I'm gonna skip by the student representative's report, she's not in today, and go to board member committee, legislative and Oxford reports. Do we have anyone anything to report from anyone?
Oxford was snowed out.
All right, throw it out. So then we'll go to the policy committee. We have second readings. Anyone have any questions? Everyone get a chance to read through everything? No questions. Then I'm going to move to the interim superintendent report, Mr. Bon Jovi.
Thank you, Mr. Whedon. I have a number of items to report today, but we're going to start, if you recall, earlier in the school year, Dr. Hendershot and Dr. Carter gave an update, a report on PPS department. So, we're not just a one and done. We had said at that time that we're going to come back and give you a mid-year report. So Dr. Hendershot is here to do that for the board, for the public, just so you can see, where we are, what we've accomplished, and where we're going with the PPS department. Dr. Hendershot.
All right. I think I'm on here. Good evening, everyone. Thank you for allowing me this opportunity to share with you the state of the PPS department since we last met earlier in this school year. As you recall, there were several opportunities to look at through the review that was completed. So I broke this presentation down into two areas. One, just briefly revisiting the PPS program service audit, and then looking at the areas of opportunity and how it aligns to our current strategic plan that we have here in the district. There we go. As you can see posted, there are some areas of opportunity that we focused on, that were identified. And one of the common threads throughout the report was professional development and how we can offer support to our staff in order to improve student outcomes. So when we looked at these opportunities to focus on, we divided it into 4 pillars. Clicker's a little excited. We looked at 4 pillars, which are listed above, of how we can align the areas of opportunity to our strategic plan. I'm going to go through each area individually. The first area is supporting our student well-being. And as we know, our student success goes well beyond the classroom. And this pillar really explores how we can strengthen students' well-being, their resilience, and success every day. So one of the areas that we looked at doing was providing professional development to our staff in the Columbia Lighthouse Project. And this is an evidence-based suicide prevention initiative that focuses on students' mental health well-being, awareness, and early intervention. So earlier in the year, the administrative cabinet was trained along with related service staff in this area, and we started implementing the Columbia Lighthouse Project through all 4 buildings. What was nice is I was able to collaborate with Orange Ulster BOCES, and this was actually brought on a regional level so that other districts could participate in this training as well. The second area that we looked at is we have an ongoing partnership with the Office of Mental Health. As you know, we currently have a satellite program located up at Goshen High School, and this provides services on site to students who might not be able to go to outside counseling for various reasons, whether they participate in clubs, sports, or they just have transportation issues. So we brought the service to the students. So that's an ongoing partnership we have. And we just received word last week that we were approved for another satellite location. So it's anticipated that in September, we will be opening a satellite location at our middle school. So we are very excited about that. Additionally, for the past several years, we've had an ongoing relationship with the Center for Discovery. This school year, it shifted a little bit in that we provided professional development opportunities during our conference day. And what was to start with providing services or PD to our special education staff evolved to general education staff joining us as well. So it was well received, well attended. The center staff provided PD in the area of executive functioning supports, behavior intervention strategies, and all of the staff members who participated in that were given practical tools to be able to support our diverse learners within the school community. And what has shifted from that is they've also provided PD during faculty meetings at our buildings as well. So this has really impacted not only the PPS department, but the staff at large. In looking at the second pillar, it's going to come up. A little help here. There we go. So the next pillar is about really equipping our students with the skills and strategies and confidence they need to strive both within the school setting and in life in general. So this year, we collaborated with Orange Ulster BOCES and were able to provide a 4-part session for our special education teachers in all 4 buildings to receive PD in the area of IEP development, compliance-focused training, as well as behavior intervention strategies so that we could improve student outcomes for our students. Additionally, and I'll mention it quite often because this year we happen to really collaborate with Orange Ulster BOCES a lot in comparison to prior years, but they also were pivotal in getting training for our staff in the area of standardized testing procedures for our psychologists and special education teachers. And we were able to also coordinate where they could do a regional training for all staff involved. We continue to provide opportunities for our staff to attend trainings that are relevant to student learning and disability-specific areas. We also, with Orange Ulster BOCES, worked on having assistive technology training. So we have had several sessions. Our next session is March 24th, where our teachers are receiving not only small group training, one-on-one training in working with technology with our students, but also for the teachers to receive support in how technology can assist them with their instructional planning and delivery of instruction on a daily basis. And as typical with any training that we provide through our PPS department, it often gets out to Gen Ed. So they will also be providing training through faculty meetings for 2 of our buildings in the district in the area of assistive technology. So we're excited about that partnership and the outcomes that will evolve from that. Family and community partnerships, that is the heart of our student success. So building strong connections, as we know, encourages students to feel supported, valued, and part of the larger community. So this year, the PPS department has sent out several communications through Parent Square. We provide resources to parents on upcoming workshops or community resources that are available that are related to student disabilities, parenting strategies, and services so that parents and families can access not only the things that we offer here within the district, but also the community at large. And our goal is to really increase our family engagement and awareness. The PPS department also shifted to paperless communication this year, and it has been a process. But our goal was really to improve the efficiency and record keeping within the department and also enhance accessibility for our families and students. So we've been using the collaboration portal to send out invitations to parents as well as any documents or evaluations that follow so that they can have electronic access, download it to their computers, and not have to worry about getting additional copies. They can actually save it to their computers that they have. In terms of collaboration and community engagement, we continue our ongoing collaboration with the SEPSA. That has been something that we've been meeting every other month, if not monthly, to discuss happenings, things that are going on, and how the PPS department can support the community and how the SEPSA can support the district. So it's been a nice collaboration that we've had that we are looking forward to continuing. But also, we are hosting this year on June 6th, our 10th annual Elementary Special Olympics. So as a part of that, we have been collaborating and networking with community businesses, and it's just been wonderful to get the support from the community. And then the final pillar is systems excellence and innovation. So we're really looking to streamline our internal processes, operational efficiency, and implementing solutions that support staff and enhance student outcomes. I mentioned the paperless communication in the previous slide, but one of the initiatives that we're taking on this year is Medicaid billing. So we just recently received our renewal for Medicaid billing to take place. Our PPS staff will be trained and the business office within the next 2 weeks. And then we'll be able to start our Medicaid billing back to July 1, I believe, is how far we can bill back to. One of the nice things is we've been preparing for this over the past several years. So we have a lot of practices currently in place. So it should be a smooth transition in terms of Medicaid billing that will be aligned to the state and federal guidelines to hopefully improve and support reimbursement and our compliance. Thank you very much. So in terms of what's next, we did meet a lot of goals. Rome was not built in a day. There is work still to be done. However, we are moving in a very nice direction. We continue to expand our professional development opportunities for our teachers. We're looking to enhance the programs we currently have in community-based resources, such as the Office of Mental Health. Our billing and our communication systems have increased over the past several months. The one area that we still need to really focus on that we have not touched upon this year is the publishing of our program descriptions as well as our entry and exit criteria. That's something that we need to focus on and get in place. But all in all, we've moved in a very nice direction. The last thing I want to share with you, I touched base on it a little bit ago regarding the Special Olympics. Again, it'll be held June 6th, 2026. We currently have 210 athletes who are participating this year, which is about 30 more than last year. So it's going to be a huge event, which really could not happen without volunteers and the support of the school community and the community at large. So hopefully we'll see everyone here or some of you at the table to join us, but we're really looking forward to ending the year on a positive note. So.
Thank you.
Great. Thank you, Dr. Anderson.
Thank you.
I want to just note, we have a great partnership with the Office of Mental Health at the high school, and it's really a game changer that we have the opportunity to expand that to the middle school, so we can reach more people. And just to, I've been in districts, the Medicaid billing, that's no problem. That is a huge undertaking. There's a lot of work involved. There's a lot of training involved. So I appreciate Dr. Hendershot for leading that initiative. And certainly, our work with OU BOCES, really the Office of Mental Health and what we do with OU BOCES, that's all kind of in that regionalization, working collaboratively with other organizations to improve your services. So thank you again. Wanted to give the board and the public an update. So Dr. Carter and I had the opportunity to attend the New York State Council of School Superintendents, also known as NISCUS Winter Conference. So there's a conference in the fall and then this conference in the winter. That was March 1st through 3rd. They have a theme every year. This year's theme was Advancing Innovation, Empowering Transformation for Leading and Learning. The keynote speaker on Sunday was an author and consultant, Luis Cruz, talked about planting seeds to empower others. That's certainly something that here at Central Office, we try to do. And that's one of my, things I kind of learned from my mentors. You got to empower others. You can't do everything yourself. You empower others by, through mentorship, through training, but also, you're guiding the ship. But the captain can't do everything. So you really do need to empower others to have a quality organization. These conferences, it's a great opportunity to, besides going to the different sessions, it's really a great opportunity for superintendents, assistant superintendents to collaborate, to brainstorm, to touch base with, other superintendents throughout the state and the area. Many different sessions you could go to. We concentrate a little bit more on the ones that were presented by NYSED staff, so New York State Department of Education staff, talking about the graduation pathways, Blue Ribbon Commission, the state of the New York fiscal awareness. Also touch on some AI, and I know that Dr. Carter will be talking a little bit more about some other things with AI in his report. Before I get to the district happenings from me, I also don't want to steal anyone's thunder, right? So I'm going to ask the building principals who are here just to come up and give a quick report on updates, news from their buildings. Then I'll get to district reports.
You might need to down, right?
Yes.
Good evening, everyone. I'm here to give you an update about Scotchtown Avenue School. So it's been an exciting time over at Scotchtown. We are actually getting started for next year for the 26-27 school year, and we have our kindergarten registration that is going on right now. For all of our families that are registered, and we'd like to remind everybody, if you are in CPSE or if you are already in our UPK, that you do have to re-register for kindergarten. And we will be sending out letters to all of our families who have registered to do our kindergarten screening. That will be happening happening at Scotchtown the week of April 13th. So it's always an exciting time. We put together a short story where all the kids get to see what Scotchtown's like. They get to meet some of the kindergarten teachers, and it's an exciting and welcoming event at Scotchtown. This week, we are also welcoming our middle school musicians from CJ Hooker that will be coming down on Wednesday. We do Music in the Schools Month, where they will be coming down to showcase the musical instruments to all of our Scotchtown students. They put on a performance, and then the students get to learn a little bit about each of the instruments and how they work. We are continuing our partnership with Cornell Cooperative. We have 2 programs that are going to be coming up. One, our chicks and ducks have arrived. So we have 11 classrooms this year that will be inviting in chicks. And this year we have 1 classroom that's going to be doing ducks. The kids get super excited because they get to see the chicks. They actually do something called candling, where they get to look at them inside the eggs. We have a great partnership with Cornell, and they send over some of their employees to come and work with the classrooms. And even if their child doesn't have an opportunity to have the eggs in their classroom, every classroom partners up so that they get to go and be part of the process throughout the entire incubation phase. We also are starting with them this year. We're working with their gardening department, and they are going to be coming in to work with all of the students and show them about the plant life cycle. And then they're going to be partnering with our PTO to revitalize some of our gardens at Scotchtown. And one of them, we're going to be working on trying to get a schedule where the students will be part of taking care of that and giving back to the community by helping organize and beautify our gardens at Scotchtown. The PTO will be putting together a new assembly. It's going to be the Nutty Scientist, which is going to be a STEM assembly where they will come in and they will do fun hands-on experiments with the kids. So we're super excited about that. And as far as professional development, Mr. Bon Jovi started to talk about it. We started with an AI appetizer. So we had one of the representatives from Model Schools, Dana Groper, come in to do a presentation for our faculty for a morning faculty meeting. And she kind of just did a teaser of all different AI opportunities for teachers and how they can use it in their classroom. We have put out opportunities through the Smart Schools grant where teachers will be able to go to OU's and take different classes on how to use AI in the elementary classroom. And we're also continuing with our DataWise professional development. We're in the middle of our DataWise cycle. So right now we are reviewing the writing samples that we collected from all of our students to evaluate how the implementation of our interventions went. Once we get that data back, we will continue it and make adjustments, hoping to close out our DataWise cycle, which with our final findings by the end of April, so we could see how our interventions went and then continue on with our plan on how we'll move on with that in the future. And that's it for Scotchtown.
Thank you. Dr. Wentworth. Good evening. So we had our 3rd grade concerts last week that were in-house. They went very well. It was great to see all the students performing and getting so many of the parents into the building to enjoy those concerts. They did a wonderful job. We also had our Pondapalooza. Our winner was announced for the 2nd trimester, which was our Compassion Flock. And they voted to get a Compassion Carnival, which will be happening next week after school. So that'll be a fun, exciting time. PTO, want to send a thanks for helping support that as always. We've also been starting to meet with our restorative practice coach, which was a grant that we were able to gain from New York State Education Department and the New York court system. We're working with a retired superintendent named Lori DiCarlo. She's giving us a lot of coaching on kind of where we're at, what our plan is. But just to give some praise to our team, she shared that New York State was very impressed with what the team had already done. And we pretty much scored like the max number of points on their rubric. So that was a great kudos to the team and their work so far. Also, I was at the Odyssey of the Mind competition recently. Just want to give a shout out to our teams that went and performed. They did an outstanding job. We actually have one team that will be going to states, so want to wish them a good luck with that. And we're excited that they're going to be going there. I think it's next week. Also, our professional development, similar to what was shared by Dr. Hunter-Shaw and Mrs. Driscoll, we've brought in some of our reps from Center for Discovery to do some work on executive functioning. We've also turned around and done some work specifically around AI and utilizing that to help us with kind of evaluating what we're doing with executive functioning and some other areas, provide some feedback to faculty and staff, and just help streamline building interventions and how we can track those. So we're going to continue with that next week with a little bit more AI specific PD for them. And finally, we have our bookathon going on right now this month. So any of the families that have not yet signed up, we're asking them to get signed up. There's a lot of awards and again, PTO going out of the way to really try to hype up the reading and get some pretty fun rewards in place for all of our students. So thank you.
Great, thank you, Dr. Wentworth. Principal Pantaleone.
Yes, good evening, everyone. So we are excited for our 39 students. They are pursuing the New York State Seal of Biliteracy. And this year, they're focusing on language such as Russian, Mandarin, Greek. So we're excited to have these diverse languages our students show proficiency. In the realm of professional development, all of our staff have been trained with the courtesy of our leaders in our phys ed department led by Ed Killenberger in AED and first aid certified under DESH's law. And so that would be a great value to our learning community. And with that, we have World Language Week, March 23rd to 27th next week. So our students are hard at work preparing for those festivities. And in the realm of assemblies, we actually won a grant from Stop DWI. So May 13th, we're going to be hosting the Save a Life Tour, where we're going to have simulators in our high school gym that are simulating texting while driving and drinking while driving. And we're going to be able to service about 500 of our students. Along with that, we're going to bring back the mock crash that we had a successful venture last year. So we're collaborating with community supporters with that. And again, we're going to use our theater students to have a mock play to lead into the actual mock crash event. And we also secured Frankie Wright. He was the keynote speaker to the Red Ribbon Week. If you got a chance to see Frankie, powerful story about recovery and redemption, former ADAC counselor. So he's going to be our keynote speaker for our pre-prom assembly event. Along with that, we have just some updates. We have the Hall of Distinction. So we're able to resurrect the Hall of Distinction. So we have 5 members of our Goshen community that will be inducted this spring at one of our award events. So we're excited to name these distinguished individuals to our learning community. We had the Senior Citizen Banquet on March 18th, this Wednesday, beginning at 4 p.m. So a new twist, we're going to have our coding students teach our senior citizens about AI. So they beat us in pickleball for the 3rd time. Jimmy Kelly and Jillian Pucci did win a set before our semi-playoff game. We didn't tell Sal in case there was an injury, but we're now excited to return the favor with a little knowledge on some AI. Of course, Spamalot this weekend. We have 3 showings. Please come out and support our students. And March 24th, our faculty basketball game for the class of 2029. We still have some roster spots available if you'd like to participate. Either side is welcome. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Pantaleone. Thank you, principals. There's a reason I ended up running track. Basketball was not my forte. So I want to recap winter sports season. Some of this was mentioned on it quickly, but it was a fantastic winter season. So really, most importantly, our students, they're not just athletes, they're student athletes. So once again, all of our winter sports teams qualified for they qualified for the student athlete recognition. So that's the 2 in a row now. So we're going for 3. I'm sure we will. Jaden Thomas, winter track. He's a senior, state champion, Section 9 intersectional relay. He ran the 200-meter leg of that relay team. Fantastic job. We had Greg Schaefer and Evan Whedon represented us at the Section 9 at the state championships in wrestling. So that's always very exciting. I didn't get a chance to go this year, but always love to go into that wrestling up in Albany. Logan Gottlieb Jr. finished the ski season, earning a spot on the New York State Championships. So it was a great ski season. Certainly the snow lasted a little bit longer than usual. Varsity cheerleading won the Section 9 championship and then went to the States. They finished 4th. That's the best that they've ever finished. I think it was the toe touch that I showed them how to do that really got them that 4th place finish. Varsity boys basketball, of course, won the Class AA sectional championship and then qualified for the state tournament, did a fantastic job. And then our senior player, Jim Kelly, was named Section 9 Player of the Year, along with our head coach, Sal D'Angelo, was honored as the Section 9 Coach of the Year. So great job to them. Spring season started just last Monday. We got strong participation numbers, and thankfully, you know, that the snow really did. We had a lot of it, but it melted fast. So we're just waiting for those fields to dry up a little bit more, and we'll be ready to go. Spring Media Day is this Saturday from 9 to 11:30 at the stadium. Now I know Mr. St. Lawrence, I want to shout out to him and his staff. You know, their 100-day athletic food drive closes this Saturday at Media Day with over $6,000 in food and donations raised by for the Ecumenical Food Pantry. The varsity and JV softball fields at the high school have improvements on the rise as we enter April, so we'll be having some little bit better setup there for, you know, pads, so it's not muddy, and then eventually like a wind and shade screen, similar to the baseball. We already talked about Special Olympics. We talked about Odyssey of the Mind. We do have 3 teams headed for the States. Kind of in the realm of buildings and grounds. So I talked about this earlier in the year. So we have that CRG mapping. So they'll be coming in March 25th. So we're working with the Pizza Rigliano in Orange County government. So they're going to come in. This is for all school districts in the county. They're taking all of our building plans and kind of building a grid. So think of it almost like Battleship. So every law enforcement agency will have these grids so that if there's something in a particular building, they know, okay, that's in, you know, section G5. That's where it is. Boom. So everyone will know, because not everyone maybe is familiar with our building, but they'll know where it is by looking at these grids. That is all paid for by the county, and that's through the Stop Arm program. So everyone who got tickets for passing school buses, they paid for this. But stop passing school buses, please. We had a subcommittee meeting of our district safety committee. I mentioned that earlier in my report. So some of the items we talked about. So the high school PA system has been a long time coming, but they'll be starting pulling wires this summer, hopefully to get that done. We've added cameras to different areas, and we still have some more areas where we might have, you know, could use some more camera work. So we're working on that. Cybersecurity. Very secure. We do spam and phishing tests, emails. We do email blasts. Of course, we have the 2-stage identification now. So we are in good shape. We will, at the high school, some of you might have noticed, there's that last light pole closest to the stadium. There's now kind of cones around it, but we will be painting that. And we do have to reset that because it was hit twice. So if you look at that one pole, there's a slight lean to it. So I do ask everyone, please, when you're going through the parking lot, please be aware, pay attention. You know, that pole is right there, you know, and it was directly driven into. Working with Sergeant Scalza, we are planning another tabletop drill, and we'll be doing that tentatively that first week of August, because we'll be having the administrative retreat. So we know that everyone is available, and it takes time to organize all that. So Sergeant Scalza will be working on that. So we'll be ready to go. I already mentioned about the Narcan boxes that were installed. That was all paid for by the Orange County Office of Mental Health. So thank you to them. We are, as far as the website, we'll be working on it. We're working on a dedicated page on the website for student attendance, so that parents and guardians understand, number one, the importance of attendance. They understand what our attendance policy is, and they'll understand, you know, what's excused, what's not excused, and then the letters, you know. I'm not knocking anybody, but an absence is an absence. So even if it's, you know, you've been, you know, sick, you're going to get a letter. So, you know, and that's New York State law. So, you know, but when, you know, sometimes, and I know people, I have friends and colleagues who work in other districts, you know, sometimes people get these letters, you know, 20, 25 days, and they're shocked and they're mad at us. The students got to be in school. Certainly we work with parents and guardians through illness and everything else, but a lot of times there's other reasons other than they're sick. We held a UPK Parent Information Night. So Dr. Card and I, we presented at that. We really have a great partnership with our UPK providers, and it was a nice turnout for that event. Last Tuesday and Wednesday, Dr. Wentworth mentioned it really was a great choral concert, fantastic, great job. CJ Hooker play, actually that was one of the first trips I chaperoned when I was a young teacher was to Broadway to see Into the Woods. And, this was a middle school junior production, but I gotta tell you, that rivaled anything I've seen before as far as Into the Woods. They really did a fantastic job. It was the faculty, the staff, but, obviously the kids did really a wonderful job. Principal Pantalone mentioned the senior citizen banquet. Looking forward to Spamalot. That's this weekend at the high school. Next Wednesday, the 25th, 6 p.m. is the BOCES budget dinner presentation. So I'll be attending that on behalf of the district. We have a great partnership with BOCES. I'm going there to, support our colleagues there. The next Coffee with Soup will be Thursday, March 26th at the Diplomat Cafe. And of course, our spring break is coming soon. It's coming up Monday, March 30th through Monday, March 6th. And then we have a board meeting the day we return on Tuesday, March 7th. So something that we'll have to talk about perhaps at the end of the meeting is just when and where we want to review that agenda. There probably won't be a whole lot of new items other than our presentation. So that leads me to our presentation. So I'm excited to present our fourth presentation with Dr. Carter and Ms. Van Put-Lameren on the 26-27 proposed budget. All right, good evening, Board of Education, members of the community, administration. So this is our fourth budget presentation. We actually have two more. So the next board meeting on the 7th, and then we'll be adopting at the second meeting in April. I want to say this is really, it's been a collaborative effort with faculty, staff, the building administration, and central administration to put this together. So what we're presenting tonight is not just a one-shot, hey, this is next year's budget. We're presenting, I consider it's a 3 to 5 year plan. The current financial gap, we'll be talking about that. It's really, it's just due to an accumulation of various factors really kind of converging at the same time. So we'll be discussing the importance of going to that tax cap, not just this year, but in following years moving forward, because we need to reestablish a better financial balance here in the district so that each year we're not finding ourselves in a shortfall as far as money wise. We'll be discussing the reduction of budget codes district-wide. We'll be discussing reviewing all ongoing programs, our staff, and enrollment numbers. And we'll be presenting options to you, the Board of Education, of how we can work together to reduce our budget gap, not only this year, but moving forward. It's really, like I said, this didn't happen in 1 year, and it's going to get to a better balance financially. It's going to take a few years to get back to that. So again, this is our fourth presentation. We'll be presenting on April 7th. That's the Tuesday we come back. Really at that meeting, we'll need final guidance. So we'll have to have some discussions tonight, but if you need to kind of soak it in tonight and have some conversations amongst yourselves, but really it's that April 7th board meeting. We'll really need some guidance from the Board of Education of what you want us to do. We'll be making suggestions and I'll be guiding you what I think we should do. And then, of course, we adopt the proposed budget on the 21st of April, and then the public vote is on May 11th. And annual budget vote, public hearing, excuse me, and then the budget vote May 19th. Okay, Samantha Lambert.
So the instructional side of the budget contains 5 sections. You may recall in the non-instructional budget, we had 9. Here we have 5, not to make it any less, but it consists of the curriculum. Oh, thank you. Curriculum development and supervision. This is where you'll find the expenditures for our assistant superintendent for curriculum, technology, and personnel, as well as the principals, assistant principals, our director of athletics, and our director of PPS, and the assistant director. All of their clerical help and all of the costs associated with running their offices. We have teaching regular school. This is where you'll find the teachers, the assistant teachers and teacher aides for all of our gen ed students. We also have our textbooks, our school supplies, our furniture, and we also have professional development for our teachers in this section of the budget, and any other equipment as needed. For special apportionment, this covers a few different areas. First, we have special education costs, the English language learners, our occupational education. This is where you'll find the technology, family and consumer science, and our business department, and then our evening high school. And these costs include all of those teachers and assistants or aides, if there are any, as well as any of their supplies and textbooks and equipment as needed or as required on their on students' IEPs. Next, we have instructional media. In here, we have computer-aided instruction, not only for the instruction of students, but also we have our tech director and his staff as well. All of, all of the computers and the other equipment as required, and all of the software for the district. This also includes librarians in that section of the budget, and all the library books and all of their supplies as needed. And for some reason, there's a section missing on here, and it's pupil personnel services. Pupil personnel services also covers a large area. This is where you'll find our guidance department, our nurses, our attendance aides. We also have our social workers, our psychologists, and then we also have on the other side, the fun part, I call it, the extracurricular, the clubs and the athletic costs. That's where you'll find what you'll find in pupil personnel services. So here is the 5 sections of the instructional budget and the comparison with the current budget year, 25-26, the dollar change and the percentage change. A lot of the drivers for the increases in the budget are typically your salaries due to contractual obligations and BOCES services, because they also have rate increases just as we do in our costs. They have increased costs. But going through each line here, we do have an increase in curriculum development and supervision, teaching regular schools. Basically, the salaries are the drivers in these sections. We do have some attrition in the teaching section here. Attrition is what you'll find when we have a retirement. We always look at the position to see if it needs to be replaced. In this case, this year, we have 2 elementary teachers retiring, 2 teacher aides, and a teacher assistant. And then we also have a reduction, and that's due to the placing a social studies teacher back into the classroom that was a teacher on special assignment. If we hadn't made those reductions through attrition, we would have had a 4.8% increase in the teaching regular schools section of the budget, just to give you an idea of what kind of savings or reduction you can see when we review positions as needed. Then under special apportionment, the driver here is our BOCES placements. We do have 5 kindergarten age students coming into the district next year that will be placed at BOCES. But on the flip side, we also have 3, possibly 4 students that are returning to the district that are at BOCES right now. So that is also helpful. Instructional media, salaries, and BOCES expenditures are the drivers in this section. We also are estimating this amount right now because Jonathan Rediker is working on our software to see if there are any more reductions we can make from software that is being underutilized. Next, we have pupil personnel services, and here we have drivers include salary increases. Okay, so this is a
No,
what's a pie chart? Just showing what the five sections of the budget were. See, you gotta go back to five if possible. Two back.
If you can go back to, Joy, please.
There we go. Typically, you will see teaching making up the largest portion of the instructional budget. What's notable here is that our special apportionment is gaining on the teaching section, and probably next year they may be even. But this is typical in the school districts to see the way this is broken out.
next slide.
So I've taken all of the categorical expenditures and broken them down again as a comparison to the current year and what the proposed budget is here. And as you can see, we do have two increases. Those are salaries and BOCES. And we do have 4 decreases as well. And that's due to the work of Mr. Bon Jovi and I. We've combed this budget through every account code, and we were able to make decreases. At the equipment line, we were able to decrease $27,000. Although it does look like a lot percentage-wise, it is a small dollar amount. Contract services, we have a decrease here because we took out the local share of our universal pre-K program because I believe we're going to see the state funding that. So this could change if there is a change in the final budget adoption by the state, but for right now, I have taken that amount out of the budget. We also made some decreases for supplies throughout the budget, a couple of conference codes, furniture, wherever we could. However, there were no programs eliminated in this proposal. Just to give you an example, comparison to last year's increase, we had a 5.6% increase in the instructional side of the budget, or 2.8 million as compared to 4.9 for 26-27. And then I broke up, oh, sorry, one more. Go ahead. There we go. So the different categories, I've broken that down also in a pie chart. And here you can see that salaries make up the largest portion. And in the non-instructional side, we had benefits making up the largest portion. And that's typical in any school district budget, that salaries and benefits make up the largest part of a budget. And now I'm going to turn it over to Dr. Carr.
So as you look at the proposed program funding, and you browse through those bulleted items, you realize that there's a lot written about maintenance of instructional program, the need for continued professional development and ongoing review of programming and materials. And so as you look at GIS, we realize that right now with Portrait of a Graduate coming on board, we must be prepared, of course, for next year, no doubt about it, but also with the understanding that the freshman cohort of 2027 is where it takes full effect, right? And so we've got to be prepared to get everything in order for Portrait of a Graduate. And with that comes the maintenance of all of our current programs established that align directly with those opportunities. And so we talk about our CTE and cybersecurity and how we wish to grow that program and have more participants, not only participants, but those that actually complete that industry-based assessment and come out with that real-world credential, which is a part of career readiness. We want to continue to focus on Seal of Civic Readiness, and I'll talk about that a little bit as we get into the CJ Hooker side of things. We also have a wonderful internship program, and in combination with our CTEC opportunities, of course, we want to maintain that. And if there's any opportunity to grow that, especially in-house, we would love to do that as well. And then we have a very robust offering of dual enrollment courses. And so students have an opportunity to enroll and earn over 50 credits, when it comes to dual enrollment courses. And so we want to maintain those affiliation agreements. And if at all possible, of course, we want to grow those as well in preparation for Portrait of a Graduate and those graduation measures that are evolving. So as we move to CJ Hooker, not only are we going to do the same at CJ Hooker, as I just mentioned at Goshen High School, but when it comes to maintenance of program, we want to really focus on that continued alignment with New York State standards, and bring some of those programs down into the middle school and grow those as well. And so that's a part of developing foundational skills and setting our students up for Portrait of a Graduate and those graduation measures. So we talk about expansion of Seal of Civic Readiness. It's a great opportunity for 8th grade students to start with that. So we wish to grow that, but also looking at any entry-level courses that we can kind of piggyback and develop those foundational skills, for instance, in our tech areas, in that CTE area, maybe an entry-level course in cybersecurity, of course, something that's age appropriate, developmentally appropriate. We want to continue to support standards-based instructions in our assessment practices and take a deep look at those. And so with our professional development, we understand that in alignment with our Portrait of a Graduate, that we want to start talking more so about project-based learning, about assessments aligned with project-based learning, talk a lot about collaboration and presentation rather than just, paper and pencil tests or those aligned with rubrics. I had mentioned in previous board meetings our desire to be a part of and the intent to be a part of the OU BOCES consortium when it comes to development of curriculum materials, instructional practices in alignment with Portrait of a Graduate. And so we will do that. And really, again, this is where I believe we'll have the opportunity to collaborate with others countywide and start to talk about best practices and offering opportunities for those project-based learning opportunities, that inquiry-based learning opportunity, that collaboration and those presentations that are going to be a requirement. And so this is a great opportunity for us to focus on that through professional development. As we move into our elementaries, our K-2 building, and of course our 3-5 building, again, very much the same in that we're looking to maintain and explore, and we're looking to ensure that we have continued professional development. And so we're going to continue to focus on high quality professional development, especially in the area of literacy, because we have invested an awful lot in that over the last 2 to 3 years. But we also realize that there's a strong need for continued development in the area of writing. And so that will continue to be a focus for us, probably for a decent amount of time. With that, you also talk about foundational literacy, and I've had conversations with both Ms. Driscoll and Dr. Wentworth about supplementals that can be used in that classroom environment, but more so when we start to talk about Tier 1 implementation and those students who need just a little extra support in the classroom setting. And so I know we'll continue to look for ways to expand opportunities at Scotchtown, whether it be through UFI or with Haggerty. But then also we're looking at Foundations 4 and Foundations 5, which are still Tier 1 interventions just at the upper levels of grade 4 and 5. And so both Ms. Driscoll and Dr. Wentworth have had discussions about bringing that in, which I think is extremely important. We understand that we also have the responsibility of maintaining those supply cabinets and making sure that we have everything that we need to go through our science investigations that are required. And then also there's just your general consumables and supplies that are more so used at maybe the elementary level, for reading instruction. So we're well aware of that. And then you had heard me speak about bringing on through committee a new math program, K6. And so we anticipate that there's going to be a need for that professional development. And that's working with, of course, the vendor, the textbook provider, to bring them in, to bring their professional team in and have them work with us consistently throughout the district to ensure that there's proper implementation from jump with a new math program. So now as we look at UPK, I believe that we're all aware of where we're at with 54 seats, but looming overhead is that potential growth of the program. And so I did just receive an email, and I believe Mr. Jovi, you received an email from Senator Skoufis's office, again, speaking to, the desire and the potential to implement the $10,000 per student for this upcoming school year, yet I don't have solid information for that. And so we know that we're going to maintain UPK, and we know that they're going to continue as providers to take advantage of professional development opportunities that are fitting. And we know that we'll continue to have great collaboration with them. But we really look forward to that potential for growth, especially if we're able to get that $10,000 per student, because the number will go from 54 to whatever the number of applicants may be at this point in time. And so now collectively, you see district-wide. Again, just basic summary here. You look at our bulleted items, and so we're looking to expand CTE and work-based learning. Of course, we're looking to maintain and, if possible, expand. We have to strengthen our civic readiness opportunities, which is where I spoke about expansion into that middle school realm. There is a need for performance-based assessments, and so the development and implementation of such assessments is imperative. We'll look at developing even more capstone experiences for our students, and so we're very fortunate here. Many around the room have been a part of or have viewed capstone projects being completed. You may have taken part in helping an individual to complete their project or been a part of the presentation. We have a lot going on, and if we can expand those opportunities, all the better. And so that is a goal. And again, maintenance of and possible expansion of dual enrollment college credit opportunities for graduation measures. If you would advance. And so I'll cover this because what you see in front of you, albeit not necessarily 619 and 611 funding, the title grants come as a result of the consolidated application that my office completes yearly. And so this is, say, anticipated funding coming in, and that is population-based for the most part. And so just a brief explanation of Title I. The monies that you see potentially coming for Title I really are to ensure that all of our students, especially those who may be viewed as in danger of not meeting grade level standard or performance-based measures, get what they need by way of supplemental programs. And so when we receive this money, we have an opportunity to either offer a targeted approach or a school-wide approach. And in district, we choose to offer a very targeted approach for those students that we absolutely know need more beyond simple target Tier 1 in the classroom environment. Title II for us is all about supporting effective instruction. So you can utilize this funding when it comes in for professional development opportunities, professional development for our school leaders, but you can also use it to support effective instruction by way of using it for salaries for the purpose of reducing class size. And so we do dedicate the funding primarily toward a teacher salary to reduce class size and have another teacher inserted into one of our grade levels, which currently is in GIS and may remain there for the following school year or rather the upcoming school year. When you look at Title III, that funding is specifically designated for those students designated as ELL, English Language Learners. It's not a lot of money, and most of what we do truly, if not for supplies to assist them, it's for programming that will help them come up to speed to the same level of proficiency as their English-speaking peers, and that's really the goal of Title III. So we have some early morning writing programs and some, in general, early learning literacy programs, and then we also have a few after-school opportunities at the secondary level for a little extra supplemental support. And so that $15,800 that's anticipated would be, once again, contributing to those programs. And then Title IV, when I run stakeholder committee meetings, I always try to describe it as more of the fund money. It gives us a little bit more flexibility and some other opportunities to utilize that. The money falls into three buckets. And so we talk about well-rounded, safe and healthy, and effective use of technology. And we never use the money for effective use of technology because essentially, we have a lot of technology, so much so that it's coming out of our ears. And so we don't utilize it for technology. We focus on safe and healthy. We focus on providing assemblies that promote well-rounded educational opportunities, maybe in the arts or STEM. And so collectively, district-wide, those funds are split up And our building level administrators get to collaborate with their teaching staff and pick out a few programs that will fall into that Title IV funding. Now, separate and aside from the title funding, you have your 619 and 611, and this is a PPS special. That money is designated for PPS use, and primarily, I would say there's probably a lot of contractual obligations covered with these funds. Also maybe some salaries, some supplies, other PD opportunities, conferences. So it is very well utilized, it's properly utilized, and it's well managed by Dr. Hendershot and her team at PPS. And of course, Ms. Van Put-Lemerand and our team here also has oversight, but we're very fortunate that we get somewhat of a healthy allocation and it's used appropriately as we move forward. So we anticipate that'll be the same for next year.
We wanted to review for the board and the public, just historical enrollment. As you can see, we went back to 2015. So if you look at 2015 to compare to our projected for 26, 27, we're actually, in all those years, we're actually down 275 students. And from projected from this year at 27-12 to next year, we're down 85 students. So that's just something we are aware of, we keep track of it. The not uncommon, pretty much throughout the state, most school districts are seeing a drop in their overall enrollment, but an increase in their special ed enrollment. It is just a phenomena that's really, I'm sure there are many different factors, but I'm sure a lot of it was accelerated by the COVID-19, by the pandemic. They had students who, missed, important formative years being in person. So while enrollment's dropping, we do have an increase in special ed, and that's pretty much across the board. Do you want to look at staff changes? Again, we reviewed this, so this is really one area to look at. These are through attrition. Now for the public, that means retirement. So someone's retiring, we're taking a look at how will that impact the class size if we don't replace this person. That's one teacher assistant at CJ Hooker, 2 elementary teachers, those are both at Scotstown, the 2 teacher aide at Scotstown, the social studies teacher that's at the high school, and that's from teacher on special assignment returning to the department. And then Principal Pantaleone and his staff really took a hard look at that 6-period stipend. And we looked at some of those sections, and we were able to condense sections. And all of this is, remember, we are maintaining all of our programs. So no programs being cut with any of these staff reductions or any of the money reductions. But this is really one of the key ways to get a better balanced budget is through staffing.
This is a summary of the major changes, the increases as well as the decreases found throughout the budget. We have our salary increases, those are contractual. The decreases are through the attrition that we talked about and the reductions. The BOCES increases are due to the rates and the replacements. Contractual, these are our special needs such as nursing and speech outside services that we need to increase. And then for the decreases, they have conferences, contractual items such as the UPK local share. We also made some changes in building repairs that the building principals manage in their budget rather than Mr. McCardle. Supplies, equipment, and software, which again is a work in progress. So since we did the presentation of the non-instructional budget, we've also combed all of that section of the budget and we've made some reductions there as well. The bus bond payment, I spoke with BPD, our financial advisor, and we are able to extend that to the following year. So that's been taken out of the non-instructional budget and we'll have to put it into the 27-28 budget when that time comes. Equipment, we were able to make a small reduction there. We looked at contractual items, all of our utilities, diesel, the road repairs, which is, you know, the repaving and the relining of our asphalt, and then equipment rental, we were able to make a combined reduction there of $204,000. The employee benefits, in this area, we were able to reduce TRS, it's Teachers Retirement System, because I had originally budgeted for 9%. The rates came out and they're now 8.29, so we were able to make a reduction there. But another item that I've actually taken completely out of the budget is the non-elective contribution for retirements. And the reason I'm doing that is, and I'll show you on the next slide, we were able to use our reserve for that. We have an employee benefit reserve, and it is intended for that purpose. So this is the year that we need to consider putting that money towards any retirements next year. We don't know who will be retiring next year until January. So that's why I pulled that out of there. And then last but not least is supplies, small change of $16,000. And that gave us a total of $785,000 in reductions. Okay, so this is our total proposed budget.
Here we go. Oh, no?
Okay,
There
that's
we
it.
go. Thank you.
This is the grand total of the proposed budget, both the non-instructional section and the instructional section. And we're proposing a budget of $100,952,647. And that's a 4.3% increase. As compared to last year, our overall budget increase was 5.4% or $4.9 million, just to give you a comparison. Okay, so now we have the proposed revenue total, $95.8 million with the current projections for state aid from the governor's numbers. Our total budget projection, which leads us to a budget gap of $5.1 million. If we were to appropriate the current amount of fund balance that we're using this year for the budget, and we do have that ability, we would have to use $3.7 million again. The net gap would come to 1.3, just short of $1.4 million. And again, that's in order to maintain our programs. So what are our options to balance this budget? Well, we can increase revenue, and you can only do that by one way, or two ways actually. And you can override the tax levy cap. Our current calculation comes to 3.06. If we were to override the cap to the amount needed that's required to balance the gap, we would have to go to 5.5%. And then also, in order to get that to pass, it would have to be passed by a supermajority vote. Another option is to appropriate additional fund balance. If we appropriated the additional fund balance that we need, we would come to a total of $5.1 million in appropriated fund balance, which we could do for 1 year, but it's not recommended to be sustainable for following years. And then there's reducing expenditures. We could do that by reducing staff, or we could also combine any of the options above, one or two, reduce staff and appropriate more fund balance. Oh, one other thing I forgot to mention is we're hoping to get another 1% in foundation aid. I know there's been talk about that. And the legislative budgets as well, so
Yeah.
we're hoping to see that.
So again, just to take a look back, we've looked at this before. So this goes back to the 2016, 2017. This is what our tax cap was. So as you can see, there was the percent change and what was allowable. So 2016, 17, we could have gone to 8.9. We went to 7.4. The next year we could have gone to 3.2. We went to 2.9. In 18-19, we went to the tax cap. It was 1.7. In 19-20, the maximum was 4.4. We went to 3.2. We met the tax cap in 2021 at 3.5. And in 21-22, we could have gone to 2.1. We decided to go 0. In 22-23, we could have gone to 1.3, we went to 0. 23-24, we could have gone to 2.8, we went to 1. In 24-25, we could have gone to 5.5, we went to 2. And then last year, you went to the 2.8. So again, moving forward over the next 5 years, we really need to, so that we can get a more balanced, budget overall, so we're not seeing these big gaps. We need to continue to look at our spending. I have to say, we went through, it's probably over 900 codes. We went through that a number of times, and we've cut, pretty close to about $1 million. We did not decimate any one item. We took a look at what we've spent last year, what we've spent so far this year, what the anticipated spending is, and then made the decisions to do the cuts. We are maintaining all of our programs. You heard me talk about needs and wants, so we have a short list of things we need, but at this time, I'm really not comfortable even to mention what those are, because we really need to talk about kind of bridging that gap. So again, this year, our tax cap is 3.06. So we're gonna talk about the reserve funds that we have.
Yes, we just wanted to show you the balances and what the different reserves we have. As I mentioned, we can use the employee benefit reserve to offset those costs next year. Unemployment reserve, the same in this instance. Our current costs though for unemployment are averaging around $40,000, depends on the year. Employees retirement reserve, there is another area that we could use part of that reserve to offset the increase in the invoice that we will see in December for employees retirement. Teachers retirement, we do not have an increase in this line item, so I wouldn't recommend using that. And the insurance reserve, I would propose to use some of those funds also to offset the increase in our insurance costs that we've seen this year. We also saw last year as well. Our tax certiorari reserve, you can see that it has declined this year, and that's because we had those large payments that we made to the Galleria, and we had a couple others that were large as well. So we may be overfunded in there right now, but we have to see what comes in July as far as the new tax cert cases are. And if we are overfunded there, we could use those funds elsewhere as well. And then the last line is our capital reserve, and this is the reserve that is going to be used for our next referendum for a large district-wide capital project. And I have the line item starred, the 2.5 million, because that has not occurred. We have not added that into that reserve yet, but it's something we've been hoping to get to that point of $5 million at least to put towards the project should it pass. All of the work be completed, so. Did I miss anything?
So just again, as a reminder, we've been holding very tight on the budget this year. We froze spending back in December. So there will be some reserves left over at the end of this year to kind of put back into some of these. Again, it's a 3.7, we're already pretty much committing to what we did last year, the 3.75 of fund balance, which leaves us about the 1.4 shortage, which we can take from these other reserves. The money, we do have the money there between different reserves. And then moving forward, we need to continue to kind of, be very careful with any new spending. We need to look at section sizes when there's retirements, and then continue to be creative with some of our savings. So we got to this point, together as far as, hey, putting the budget together and presenting it to the public, to the board on where we want to go, really through careful examination of our programs, our funding, our reserves, our staffing. I am confident that over the next 3 to 5 years, we can be in a more fiscally balanced state. It can't be done in 1 year. I know that we took some big hits last year, cutting some staff, and we're not looking at that this year. But we will need direction from the board. So again, just to recap, we do have monies available in some of our other reserves. We are maintaining all of our our courses, our programs, and we haven't cut any staff other than through attrition. And we look towards you for, what you want to do. So you can kind of have some discussion tonight. You can take some think time on that, but we will need that direction or a little bit more conversation at that the April 7th meeting, which will come very quickly because, we have this week and next week, and then we're away and we come back on the day, that's the meeting. Okay.
Any comments, joining board members?
Question. So, we go back to. It's not used to be my job too. See what happens when I move my chair. Not sure what slide it is, but options to balance 26-27 proposed budget. It gave us the current cap, the required levy, the fund balance. And it said we had the option of, any combination of
Mhm.
1A, 1B, and 2.
Yes.
So safe to say that if our gap right now is 1.4, we would have the ability to offset some of it by appropriating fund balance, right? It's not an all or nothing. So if we wanted to, perhaps look at getting us closer to the cap or, at the cap, that would be an option.
Right, so all these amounts are presuming we go to the 3.06.
Not
Yeah, so if you-
overriding.
Right, not overriding, but
Just the-
if we're talking about going
The cap
under
calculation.
3.06, then that 1.4 grows.
Gotcha.
Got it. So the 3.06 would just leave a delta of 1.4 million.
Correct.
Right.
And do you know what that, and if not, that's okay, because I don't know if you have this up there, but do you know what, if we did get 1% in foundation aid, do you know what that would be approximately?
I have that written down. 216,570.
A little over 200,000, so
So
it'd
that-
still leave us at 1.2. So it's not, this isn't, doom and gloom. We're not talking, hey, we're gonna slash and burn here. This is something that, again, I know you took a big hit last year. We're not necessarily looking at this year, but it's gonna take time because putting 3.75 million, that's not sustainable. But I feel that over the next 5 years, when you continue to look at, where the retirements are coming from, it's not just picking on, staffing. There's a lot of other areas to look at. We're continuing to look at, through PPS, savings, our programming with BOCES, possibly bringing students back. But again, this is something that will happen over time.
I think it really comes down to we're paying the price now of 2 years of zeros.
Yeah.
The 2 years of zeros in years where
Not sustainable.
Yeah, we had reviewed that was about $6 million over those years. So it's about, the chart I showed you, that's 10.7%. And I know, no one wants their taxes to go up. And that was 10.7 that was left on the table. If you add together all those changes, the differences between what we could have raised and what we did raise.
Yeah, and those 2 years had roughly 12% of inflation. So
Yeah.
the fact that, I understand that, there was a lot of aid during COVID and all of that, and
Mhm.
wore out, all of those things, but everything is more expensive. So even to do the same thing you did yesterday, it's more expensive than you did it yesterday.
We have a great district. I know that everyone pulls together during difficult times. I know we have some contracts coming up in the coming years. So that's something we'll also have to look at, to work collaboratively with our unions to find ways to, find some savings perhaps.
So and not for tonight, and obviously we want to keep everything intact for next year. But I did have a question when we talked about the special apportionment. I know that you really only addressed, 5 kids leaving, 3 kids coming in, or sorry, 5 kids leaving the district, 3 kids coming in. Obviously there's a $1.5 million delta. I went back a further slide and I see, that there's other things involved in there. And I think just for me, I'd be curious to just know, not looking to change it, but for my own knowledge, just kind of knowing what is included in that $1.5 million.
Okay.
And then, kind of taking it a step further. And again, not for, maybe after budget season, right? I would be curious to be educated a little bit more on the evening high school and just what does that cost? How many students attend? What's the success rate? And kind of looking at those things, because that is something that I'm not familiar with. Again, something for after, but I don't want to lose sight of that because that is grouped in there. So when we're looking at a 7.5% increase for one line item.
No, it's not a problem.
Yep.
We'll have those conversations. Yeah.
Oh, you got it.
This is the only question I have is.
Any other questions from?
So, again, thank you for all that information, some questions and comments, which again, don't necessarily need to be answered tonight, but maybe for the next meeting. And maybe not even for this coming year, but the following year, we do see decreasing enrollment. You mentioned the options, and some of your options there are cutting, reducing staffing. Are we currently overstaffed? If we have decreased enrollment in the future, are there classes, programs that can be consolidated? Are there any room for things, going forward in the future if the enrollment keeps going down? Another question is, when we see these percentages here, the current cap at 3.06, or even if you're entertaining the idea of increasing it to 5.5, maybe we can get a nice estimate of what's the actual dollar amount that then would, go to people, to the average taxpayer? What does that cash amount look like in terms of a percentage to cash?
Sure. So as far as, the staffing is something we'll be continuing looking at. We looked at, Principal Pantaleon worked, really very well with his staff. And like I said, looking at that 6-period pay, so we're able to condense some of those. So those are things that we're moving down the road, but can need to continue to look at. Now with Goshen has really led the way. I'm very impressed at the high school, especially with, some of our programs and our pathways. But, we're at the point, like we gotta, at least for now, kind of pump the brakes. We can't be thinking about that we'd want to, some, increased pathways, because when you create these pathways, that can lead to, not say it does, but it can lead to, additional, that leads to some of the 6 periods, which does end up pretty quickly. We're not overstaffed, certainly, I don't feel. But you also, it's important also to maintain the positive energy in a school district. The school district's about the people. This is why, one of the many reasons why people want to live in Goshen, because we have a great school district. And I know I don't live in Goshen, so I don't want to know, he doesn't even live here. But you want to have a good school district, it costs money. It does cost money. And we have a great school district. We have great programs. We're not looking to decimate anything. We're going to continue on that path, but also, Scott, to look at, so let's look at the programs we have, and with the dropping enrollment, like we did this year, I think there's probably more opportunity to combine, some sections to, look at that. But we don't want to we're not at the point where we're saying we're going to cut people. No. We want to do that, like many school districts have through, looking at retirements. But like I said, also hopefully working collaboratively with our unions and look at some other areas of potential savings in the future.
I think to that point, though, the reason that Goshen is great is because of the people who work here. And I think we attract people who work here based on the type of contracts that our employees have, so I guess it's more of a message for the public than for you, Mr. Bon Jovi, but those things cost money.
It
And
does.
I don't think that the answer to tax savings is for it to be absorbed by a group of a couple hundred rather than, you know, the 20,000 people that are serviced by the district, so while I respect the idea of, you know, being more aggressive in future negotiations, and I think we always have to look at everything. I think we have to remember that the district's built on the people who show up every day. And as stewards of the community, we have a responsibility to represent them as well.
Absolutely.
Yeah. And I just want to make one comment regarding enrollment. I think it's important for people to understand too, that just because enrollment is down doesn't mean that the needs are down. And that's an important factor too, when you're thinking about class size and things like that. That can kind of sometimes get lost if you're not
Absolutely.
working in it day in
Absolutely, I
and day
mean,
out.
we see every year the number of special education required increases. And, you know, right, wrong, or indifferent, that education is much more expensive.
Right, and the requirements and responsibilities on the staff are very different now than they were before. A lot
Yeah,
more things that are on their plate.
Right, no, I appreciate the, the positive collaboration. We're gonna get there. So I don't want anyone to leave here thinking, oh my goodness, no, not at all. We'll get there together. And it'll be a slowly but surely, we will get there. Absolutely.
All right, thank you.
Thank you.
Just want to take a quick moment to say thank you to Interim Superintendent Bon Jovi, Dr. Carter, Ms. Van Pelt Lambrand for all the work on the budget and putting it together, being very informative, and also how informative you were, all the updates that you gave today. I also wanted to say thank you to Dr. Hendershot and the building principals for their updates. I find it very informative for us, and congratulations to our scholar athletes and our OMs. With that,
Great. Sorry, can I ask one question? Just
Sure.
before we move on. Back to Dr. Hendershot real quick. If businesses are looking to sponsor the Special Olympics, should they contact you directly? Do they reach out to Special Olympics if it's you directly? So, okay. Thank you very much.
and what was the answer to that? They've
You
reached.
can
They
contact
would
Dr.
contact Dr.
Hendershot
Hendershot
directly.
directly.
All right, so any businesses,
Yes.
contact Dr. Hendershot directly. Fantastic, great question. We will now move on to the Assistant Superintendent for Business Report, Mrs. Van Pelt Lambert.
Thank you, and good evening again. So on the agenda tonight, there is a resolution to participate in the Educational Data Services. This is a service that does the cooperative bidding and vets all of the vendors for us ahead of time. And there's many vendors on this list that we can order supplies, we can order contract services, and they're all bid at the lowest bid. In fact, in some cases, they're lower than the state contract prices. So we're hoping to see a large savings next year in this service. So I'm looking forward to working with them. We actually had a training today if we move forward with this, on how to make purchases online. Those purchases will dump right into our financial program, and it'll even save time for us as well. So that's on the agenda for tonight. We also have an item called Universal Health Insurance Reserve Fund. A colleague in Orange County in the districts approached all of the other districts, and he proposed, this is also down the line, I think in Westchester, they were proposing it as well, to send a letter to the governor asking for the establishment of a health insurance reserve fund. And what this would do, it would help offset the increases in health insurance that we've been seeing as well over the years, not just in regular insurance for the district, but health insurance rates have also been climbing. So if we have any extra money at the end of the year in revenue, say, we could put funds into this reserve, and it would work similar to the current insurance reserve that we have. So that resolution is also on the agenda for tonight. And then Land's proposal is also on the agenda. They've already begun some work on the referendum project for us. We met with them back in December, and they're also working on the numbers for us right now to take out the potential site work, because that is aided at a different rate. And once they've done that, they will send it to our financial advisors. They're going to put the numbers together for us to see what the potential impact would be on the taxes and the budget and whatnot. And we're hoping to get that done within the next week so that we could hopefully meet next week as the facilities committee before we go on break. That's the plan. So I'm hoping to be able to pull that off. Then we can start making our decisions on what we exactly want to do for that project. And then for the financial information, the expenditures in January were $8.6 million, and in February they were $9.1 million. Because this spanned over 2 months, the financial information, we did receive a lot of funding in. We didn't get general aid or excess cost aid. They don't come in again until March, but we did receive VLT lottery aid, $288,000. We received a BOCES aid check, $579,000. And we received our homeless aid, $216,000. That's higher than has been in the past. BOCES refund was also higher this year. That was $592,000. Then we have a pilot from Royal Wine, $337,000, and our STAR money came in $1.7 million. So we have invested all of these funds, and our interest earnings for the 2 months was $264,000. Then for our total expenditures as of the end of February were $54.6 million, and that's 56% of our total budget. And that would be typical for this time of the year. And then we earned $73.5 million in revenue through the end of February. Also, we are in line with where we were last year at 79%.
A lot.
Yeah. Thank you.
Thank you for your report.
Mhm.
Now have the Assistant Superintendent for Curriculum, Instruction, Personnel, and Technology report, Dr. Jason Carter.
Thank you. I have a few updates this evening. One, building on a previous, and of course it is ongoing work with Education Elements. So since our last meeting, unfortunately, just in advance of the scheduled meeting with Education Elements, they had personnel change. And so we kind of fell back in the queue waiting for another lead consultant to complete this work with us. And so I will be meeting with Judy Riley, our new lead consultant, on the 23rd. And really the primary goal here, probably over the course of 30 to 45 minutes, will be just to get reacclimated, reorganized with our goals, where we want to be, and then schedule her time here in district. Our plan is to revisit our tier 1, tier 2, tier 3 goals, but more importantly, have her schedule that time out. I'm thinking 1.5 hour blocks at each building over the course of one day, so that she can meet specifically with their teams and go through everything that they need to go through. Again, to explain the current status of their program with Ms. Riley, and then develop our goals collaboratively to move forward. And so that is upcoming once again. Mr. Bon Jovi did a great job of summarizing the NISIS conference, and I'd like to thank everyone here for their support in sending me. I did have a great time. I was able to attend many very beneficial conferences with a primary focus on AI, kind of on the heels of some of the conferences I've attended at OU BOCES. And so in particular, these AI conferences revolved around use by superintendents, assistant superintendents, and streamlining many of the tasks and functions of the current job. And so, of course, that's very interesting. But in looking at streamlining some of the demands of the daily work and revisiting some of the core functions of AI and how they can help, there were a few things that were new to me. For instance, the development of a personality that can act like a certain individual representing a profession to then give you guidance to work through complex tasks. Although I don't necessarily recommend it, trust it in 1,000%, it's still a very unique tool in preparation. But I bring all these up, of course, to talk about this as a conference and event. But there's ongoing work here with Jim Starrett and John Redeker in particular to talk about AI in district. And so you've heard from some of our building level administrators and what we've been doing with AI. And that's actually building on something that we started here in 2023, which was to open up some of those platforms simply for exploration by our faculty and staff members. And we have progressed, beyond simple exploration, and we developed some resource pages for our individuals to take a deeper dive into. And now you see that we do have some implementation of Magic School and Gemini and Chat GPT and so on and so forth. But in reality, I don't think that we have gotten to the point where we have developed a very pointed focus on laying out guidelines and putting up guardrails to develop a system and put that in place for our faculty and staff to affect instruction, to then break it out as a proper tool to be utilized by our students district-wide, right? And so we have not opened that widespread for our students. I don't think any of us right now feel as though it should be carte blanche, here it is, get after it. There's a large component of, using it ethically and understanding it and evaluating feedback and output and so on and so forth. And so in speaking with John Redeker and a lot of the research that he's conducted for us, we're really talking about coming up with somewhat of a framework for us to move forward here, maybe beginning of April, and then each month until the end of June, and then picking up once again as we enter September, and really talking about, hey, like, this is how AI works, and this is when and how to use it appropriately, for instructional purposes, and to talk about evaluation of materials and ethical considerations, and then move beyond enhancing teaching and then move into how students can use it responsibly, not to complete work for them, but as a learning tool and a supplementation. And so that's really where we want to be. I have written, AI is not going anywhere, right? And so we need to figure out a way to responsibly embrace this and start to utilize this. And so we can do that if we develop a framework and start to institute those practices district-wide. And so I'm hopeful that we can establish this. I'm hopeful that we can move forward. Also, there's a large component of AI literacy. And so I've become aware that there is a Senate bill that's been proposed. And with that may come mandates that are, pushed down to NICED, which are then pushed out to us. And so I'm one to say that I'd rather be ahead of the curve and avoid the rush and start to look into those things while we have the time to do it responsibly, not in a rush. And so I'll keep you informed as we start to develop that. I want to thank Mr. Starrett and Mr. Redeker for their work. We do meet in my office frequently enough to discuss these items. And I think we can make positive impact with it. And so that leads into our Chromebook replacement cycle, because we are entering spring, and with that comes our responsibility to follow that replacement cycle that we had established a few years ago. And so Jim Starrett and his crew at the Tech Annex just went through a purchasing cycle, because we have approximately 450 students that are moving up from 5th to 6th and 8th to 9th. And then we also have our senior group leaving. And with that comes the responsibility of collecting Chromebooks, keeping them in-house, and then issuing new as they move up. And so Mr. Starrett and his team just went through a purchasing cycle of 275. Most likely they'll use current budget funds and purchase another 200. And that will help to outfit our students becoming sixth graders, like the rising grade 6, rising freshmen, who will keep them until senior year. And then our seniors have the option of keeping theirs or returning them if they wish. And that's how our cycle works. All of those that remain with GIS from the 5th grade, they'll be reallocated throughout the building, of course. And then we do have a plan in place so that those that are being returned at the middle school level will be redistributed district-wide to meet our needs, usually with those that require lesser power, lesser memory, and so on, right? Some of our younger learners. And so that is the Chromebook cycle. I also wanted to mention that we just replaced 11 New Line boards. And so, New Line is our interactive board that allows us to provide instruction and interact with the board. We did 11 district-wide, and that's on the heels of about 25 throughout the summer months. And so we continue to stay up to date with that replacement cycle as well. And so when we talk about having enough technology where it's coming out of our ears, we're very fortunate here that we can even get through a replacement cycle. And that's through proper management of funds and resource. And so again, it's a big thank you to the tech department and all their hard work. And also our tech people in each of our buildings that stay in close communication with Mr. Starrett and his team. So you've heard me talk about math committee. I had a chance to finalize with a couple of vendors last week or at the end of the week, you know, securing some sample materials, digital materials, intervention materials, supplementals. So I'd like to just share that list with you. So Accelerate Learning is on the list for STEM Scopes Math, Curriculum Associates for iReady, Great Minds, which you might be familiar with, Eureka Squared. Contacted Carnegie Learning to talk about Clear Math and Middle School Math Solutions, a split program, same vendor. And what might be an old favorite through Savas is the Envision program. And so our goal here is to send out these materials by grade level to all the individuals that our building level administrators have selected to be on the committee. I'll send out some Google Forms so that they can give us proper feedback, and then we'll have a large group discussion about, you know, what program appears on the surface to meet our needs. We'll have a discussion about which vendors we want to bring here for in-person presentations. And so the goal is always to go from the 5 or 6 down to the 2 or 3, and then have them come in and just give us everything that they can. We'll make a selection as a committee. And then go from there by way of securing materials and working with Ms. Van Emran's office. And of course, keeping Mr. Bon Jovi in the loop to see what we can afford, what we can't afford, and what that's going to look like. I will tell you, these are all vetted through edreports.org, very high ratings, all mid-90s plus, which is really extremely important. And they all offer a plethora of digital materials, but what may be even more important for us is to secure some of those intervention materials that speak common language for our students that need additional help. And so that's our primary focus right now, and we'll get that running now with actually vetting materials and running committees as quickly as possible. Always keep you up to date on substitute teacher trainings, and so at the end of the month, 24th through the 27th, we are scheduled for orientations. Currently, we have 6 substitute teachers on the docket to go through with training. So hopefully they'll complete that. And once again, if there's anyone out there listening, if you wish to be a substitute teacher, please reach out to Mr. Chardy and or Mrs. Cerna, and let's get you on the list. Mr. Bon Jovi gave you an update on UPK. And I know Ms. Driscoll mentioned kindergarten screening, but I do want to just take a moment because it is a wonderful time of year to get through case screening, but it's also an awful lot of work, and it's a large collaboration between individuals here in central office and also at the building level. We love when our incoming kindergarten students come in. We love administering dials and going through all of the screening, but it's a large amount of work and a large amount of paperwork to collect. So I just want to properly recognize those that will be a part of it. I think collectively, we've all recognized those traveling to the fairgrounds in Syracuse for OM state competition. And so I just want to wish our teams well. We're very fortunate again. We've got 2 teams from CJ Hooker with Mrs. Seligman, Mrs. Losi, and Mr. Hulse. And then also the GIS team with Mrs. Borden and Mr. Hoffman. And so we wish them the best of luck. I hope we are able to bring home some championships and advance to potentially bring home a world title. So congratulations to all those who have worked hard, and thank you to all of those who have provided guidance. And then finally, I just want to mention Ms. Abrams at the high school. Of course, with Mr. Pantaleone and his team, we'll be taking a group of students, approximately 12, to the 11th annual Love Shouldn't Hurt Youth Summit, which I think is extremely important. So it's hosted by Fearless of Hudson Valley. It's Thursday, March 19th. We do have approximately 12 going with Miss Abrams and another chaperone, and they do a nice job of providing opportunities to select 1 or 2 of 6 proposed workshops revolving around such topics as breaking down gender, victim blaming, and some maybe more difficult topics. But also, in addition to our students having that opportunity, our chaperones also have an opportunity to attend 2 workshops, which makes us better because we can then share this information back home in our classrooms. And so, you know, they will focus on understanding digital safety and recognizing signs of human trafficking. Again, another deep topic, but a very important topic. And so I'd like to thank Mr. Pantaleone for supporting Ms. Abrams and having her take a group of students over there for some very important topics. And that will conclude my report for this evening.
Thank you, Dr. Carter.
Thank you.
Move on to the consent agenda, sorry. Can I get a motion? All right, we got Scott and Shannon. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Be it resolved upon the recommendation of the interim superintendent of schools, the Board of Education accepts the retirement of Dennis Matalone, senior groundskeeper, effective July 20th, 2026. Mr. Matalone has been with the district for 22 years. Be it further resolved on the recommendation of the interim superintendent of schools, the Board of Education accepts the retirement of Vita Dow, teacher aide, effective June 27th, 2026. Ms. Dowdle has been with the district for 20 years. Be it further resolved upon the recommendation of the interim superintendent of schools, the Board of Education accepts the retirement of Vivian McGuire, teacher aide, effective June 27th, 2026. Ms. McGuire has been with the district for 18 years. Be it further resolved upon the recommendation of the interim superintendent of schools, the Board of Education accepts the retirement of Susan Russo, school bus driver, effective June 30th, 2026. Ms. Russo has been with the district for 21 years. Be it further resolved upon the recommendation of the interim superintendent of schools, the Board of Education accepts the retirement of Anne Marie Walker, school bus driver, effective August 15th, 2026. Ms. Walker has been with the district for 11 years. Be it further resolved upon the recommendation of the interim superintendent of schools, the Board of Education accepts the retirement of Wanda Cooper, school bus driver, effective June 30th, 2026. Ms. Cooper has been with the district for 20 years. We'd like to congratulate all of our retirees and good luck into your future. Be it further resolved, the Board of Education approves the remainder of the consent agenda as presented. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Can I get a motion for old business? All right, I got Shannon and Billy. Be resolved upon the recommendation of the interim superintendent of schools, the Board of Education approves the old business items as presented. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Can I get a motion for 11.1, approve policy updates, second readings, renumbering, renaming, and readoption of retirements? I got Billy and Shannon. Be it resolved upon the recommendation of the superintendent of schools, the Board of Education approves the second readings, renumbering, renaming, and readoptions of the policies as presented. Do I have to read them all? Good. Be it further resolved that the Board of Education, based on the recommendation of the district's NISBA policy consultant, retires the following policies as the content of these policies are either combined with new policies, restatements of the law, or hold insignificant policy guidance, also as presented. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Can I get a motion for 12, new business? Shannon and Scott. Be it resolved upon the recommendation of the interim superintendent of schools, the Board of Education approves the new business items as presented. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? No. Can I get a motion for 12.1, approve minutes for the regular meeting?
It's okay.
No, we're good.
Just did it all.
All right,
did it
thank
all.
you. We did it all.
Great job.
All right, now I gotta go. Any privilege on the floor? No? Do we have any board member comments or open agenda items?
So we do have one of our new employees here, just got appointed. I just wanted to give her an opportunity. Robin, if, why don't you stand up and tell us your name and where you're gonna be?
My name is Robin Blakener, and I know that Dennis Madeline, that's retiring, but and I'm gonna be working in the business office as a senior account clerk.
Welcome.
Thank you.
So do we have any board member comments or open agenda items?
I have one item that I wanted to pose to revisit. I think we touched on it some time ago. We're still live streaming our meetings that I believe in conversations. A lot of districts are not live streaming anymore, just posting the recording and then posting later. So I thought it might be time to just get everyone's thought on that. Do we feel like we still need to stream this to YouTube? Or possibly just record and post?
I think especially, sorry, I thought you were done,
No.
in light of the budget presentations we had and trying to cut money, I mean, part of this takes time, takes people to do, and I think anything that we do would help along that line. And we still have an intent to post it, but we're not absorbing extra costs doing so.
When would it be posted, like reasonably?
I would
Yeah.
say within the next 2 to 3 days. Be realistic.
And there is a cost associated with live streaming, correct?
There is. And just even, not anyone's fault, to some of the technical glitches we get, like even the delay in the advancing of slides, it's awkward.
Invested in clicker.
It's not the clicker,
Batteries?
it's
Do we need
because we're
batteries?
going through the internet, right?
It's not my budget, you don't need to clear.
Yeah, it's not the clicker.
Yeah, any other thoughts? I mean, if everybody's in agreement, I don't really see the need to live stream our meetings anymore.
I agree. Anyone else have any comments, thoughts? No? All right, with that, can I get a motion for executive session? I got John and Billy. Be it resolved that the Board of Education will enter into executive session with the intent not to reconvene the business portion of the meeting for discussions related to the employment history of a particular person or persons. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? All right, thank you. Good night.